Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders. I welcome to a very special Super Bowl episode. My name's Sean Wasskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. We just got done watching the Super Bowl. There were some good trailers on there, some real trailers that we didn't expect to see, that I was definitely excited to see. What were your thoughts? I know you don't really care about football that much anymore, but what did you think of what we saw before we jumped too far into it?
Well, you're going to get a suit, first of all. I can't say the word Super Bowl, but then again, I put it in the graphics, so it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Can't say Super Bowl.
It's the big game. No, I hate that.
Oh,
The game was fun, but there was commercials. There was a lot of great commercials this year, but of course, we always love the Super Bowl trailers. I will say it was very front-loaded this year. It's like there was every commercial break for the first 5 breaks, and then almost nothing the rest of the game. We'll talk about it more in depth, but I did like most of what I saw. I will say I was hoping to see maybe a Bad Boys 4, maybe Ballerina, but I didn't think they'd spend for it. But other than that, I kind of saw everything I wanted to see.
There were so many people going, "Oh, we're gonna get a trailer for this and this and this." I'm like, no, we're not. This is take what we can get. The only thing I do
trailers for anything past maybe midsummer, which is why I'm surprised they did a Wicked teaser. But I think they did that. I'll talk about it more later. But I think that's because they knew I had a lot of Taylor Swift fans watching. They can probably get a lot of those people.
I think the only trailer outside of the ones that we've already seen before that I knew 100% we were getting was Deadpool, but Wicked and Twisters, and I was not prepared for those. When they popped up, I was like, "Oh shit, okay, we're doing that, all right." But yeah, and in terms of the actual commercials, yeah, pretty much after halftime, the commercials kind of weren't much to say. I will say there were some funny ones. I think the Arnold one was actually pretty enjoyable. I wasn't expecting to like it, but I did. And the Patrick Stewart Paramount Plus one, the actual long version of that, I think because they played the short version and then literally had another commercial, and then they played the longer version, and that longer version was amazing. I was laughing my ass off. My girlfriend and I were just losing it during that trailer. It was great. And the Peppa Pig thing at the very end was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, but, Disney Plus had a trailer, but it wasn't really anything except memorable quotes.
Well, yeah, because I was watching it and I was like, "What are all these quotes? Are we gonna get to eventually?" And she was like, "Maybe this is a Disney thing." I was like, "I don't think every quote on here is a Disney thing." And then sure enough, Disney Plus popped up. I was like, "All right."
Well, it was Disney. I noticed a couple, and then I started realizing, well, there's a lot of Star Wars. Oh wait, there's Marvel. They're there's got to be Disney Plus.
There's Indiana Jones in there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we also got some TV stuff. We got Knuckles.
Knuckles actually looks fun.
See, I never even saw Sonic 2. It's not my kind of thing. But so for somebody who has seen it, how does Knuckles look to you?
I mean, Knuckles looks better than Sonic 2 did. Because Sonic 2 went way too kiddie compared to the first one. Not that the first one wasn't kiddie, but the second one was like, "Hey, let's have a dance break or dance battle with Tails and Sonic playing music from 10 years ago." And yeah, and then Jim Carrey's going to go full Jim Carrey. And then there's Knuckles played by Idris Elba, who's just kind of like this, basically how he is in the trailer. But seeing this, I think it's a 6 or 8 episode thing. Yeah. But watching the trailer for that, I was like, this actually looks fun. I actually want to watch this. When I heard about it, I was like, it's going to be a cash grab, whatever. But after the trailer, that Knuckles trailer actually got me excited to want to watch.
And it is Idris Elba back for the voice, right?
Absolutely. Everyone that was in the movie, except for maybe Jim Carrey, because they announced Jim Carrey for Sonic 3. But I don't think he's going to be in the show. But everyone
might not even be in the show. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even Tika Sumpter. Tika Sumpter.
I think it's Sumpter.
Yeah, she's in it. She was in the trailer. I think I heard Ben Schwartz in there. Tails is the original actress who plays Tails, so I mean, she's definitely gonna be back. So everyone voice wise is gonna be there, and of course, I'm blanking on the lead from Happy Endings and everything. He was in the movie, so he's
Adam Pally.
Yeah, Adam Pally, who I love. He's obviously going to be the Marsden of this one, but no, Knuckles looked great. I actually am genuinely excited to watch that.
Yeah, and then there was also for TV wise, there was also Halo, which I haven't watched at all. And then Shogun, which to me, I think it looks nice, but I don't know if I care. I don't know if it's something I'm going to watch or not.
Here's my thoughts on Shogun. It's like and this is a good and a bad thing. And I don't want people to take this as a negative thing. This is just how it has been with me. Shogun looks fantastic, but it also looks like every other FX show where the trailers look good, and then you go to watch it, and then you're like, and you're sleeping off. And then something's like, you just have to kind of be in the right mood. Like, that's how I kept feeling about, like, I love the first season of Fargo. I thought Fargo was amazing. And then we got into the second season. I was like, it's good, but it's not as strong as the first one. And then, like, in the third season, which had Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ewan McGregor, I couldn't make it past the third episode. I was like, I'm just bored. And I heard the last season was great. And season 4 was not. Of course, Chris Rock in it, and he hasn't been good acting in a long ass time. But it's just every FX thing, it's like, oh, it looks really good. But then by the time I start to watch it, I'm just like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Hopefully Shogun's different, but I'm not holding out hope. If anything, it'll be like a wait and see with Shogun. Wait for it to like pass through the seasons and see what happens, and maybe go back and rewatch it at that point. But yeah, before we jump into the rest of the Super Bowl trailers, we do have some other things to talk about. So yes, it is not just a Super Bowl trailer centric episode, guys. This is a Movie Crusaders chat about, and there has been stuff that has popped up since we last were on. Now we did not get to shoot an Argylle spoiler review like we had promised, but we're gonna get that out of here real quick and just talk about it. I posted this on our Facebook that I felt like my girlfriend and I are the only two people that actually enjoyed Argylle. Now I know you like you gave it the nod, but you were like about it. We actually really enjoyed the movie, and I'm following like all these other people, and everyone's just bashing the shit out of this movie. I had fun with this film. It's like everyone's like, oh god, it's just a ridiculousness. I'm like, have you never seen a Matthew Vaughn Kingsman type film? Because that's what his movies are. That's like saying you're going to go watch a John Wick movie and you're mad because there's too much gunfighting.
Well, that's the problem though for me is Argylle. See, Matthew Vaughn, like the Kingsman, is a lot of fun. Kingsman 2, kind of a big step down from Kingsman 1. Still,
I still like the second Kingsman movie.
I still enjoy it. Like I said, it's kind of like this, and I gave it a barely positive score. Kingsman, I thought was kind of a mess.
That one was just kind of boring for me. It had one really fun scene with Rasputin, and then after that, it was just kind of meh.
And after I saw this, I kind of went back and looked at Matthew Vaughn's kind of filmography, and I realized he's really hit and miss with me. It's like
he's mostly hit.
He's got some that I really like, but then Stardust, some people like. I didn't really care for.
I love Stardust.
X-Men First Class, a lot of people love. I think is actually one of the weaker X-Men films.
That's one of the very few like hot takes of Brian I just do not get along on.
The Kick-Ass movies, I love them both. A lot of people don't love the second one, so apparently my tastes for Matthew Vaughn films are kind of the opposite of a lot of people's. But as far as this film, I said it. Like I said in my review, it's entertaining enough, and Sam Rockwell's great in it, and there's enough things that kept me entertained that I did give it kind of a barely positive score when I first reviewed it. But there's just a lot of things that bothered me. It's the ending. The third act drags on forever. I hated the whole Henry Cavill's character could have been taken out of this movie. Honestly, I hated the whole.
I do agree. Outside of the initial, once we get Sam Rockwell into the movie, the whole like blink, 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 blink thing got real annoying real fast. And
then they did it more later on. Blink, blink,
yeah,
blink,
and I went to see it with my girlfriend, and she was like laughing. I was like, man, I'm really getting annoyed with this Apple thing. And she's like, why? I was like, well, clearly they're just doing it so that way he's in the movie more, but he's not needed. He's not needed anymore.
Yeah, because the marketing, if you look at everything, Sam and Bryce are not even up front in the pictures. Like when they have big group photos, it's Henry Cavill, and I didn't even know who she was. Apparently Dua Lipa. I didn't even know.
I didn't know either.
I've heard the name, couldn't name you a song, didn't know what she looks like. It was like, oh, it's Dua Lipa. I'm like, okay, if you say so.
Oh, that's who that is.
But she's like front and center in the marketing, and she's in less than Henry is.
Oh yeah, it's literally the first scene of the movie. That's it.
Yeah, and that's basically it. But and Henry's got that really off-putting, stupid haircut, which there was no reason for him to have a bad haircut.
I'm not
gonna tank a movie based on that, but it made me even more annoyed whenever he popped up on screen. So I'm like, it's so unnecessary. I don't know. This isn't a spoiler thing, so I won't go into great detail. But it's just
no. This is the spoiler thing. The spoiler alert. This is the spoiler thing. Talk about what you want to talk about.
Oh, is it? Okay. Let me bring out my list of notes then.
I will say, while you're pulling that up, my thing was, especially in the first like 20-30 minutes, I wasn't loving Rockwell and I wasn't loving Bryce Dallas. Bryce Dallas Howard. I keep
you called her Dallas Bryce a lot of times.
I don't know why my brain keeps doing that. Concussion brain. I'll do that. But I just kept flipping, and I kept getting so damn frustrated doing that. But for the first 20, 25 minutes, I wasn't loving their characters because they're playing a certain type. And I was like, man, why is Rocco kind of a dick to her? And then why is she just so like scared of everything? It's just kind of but all that stuff got explained later, because when you started to find like the twists and stuff, I'm like, that explains why he's so frustrated with her. That explains why he wants to, put a bullet in Ellie or in Elle's head, because he wants to kill off her so he can get, Rachel, or was it Rachel? Rebecca, Rachel, Argylle, whatever. He wants to get the original version of her back, and it's like, oh, why is she so scared? Well, it's because she got all that crap input into her brain, so it's like everything that I was having issues with outside of the Henry flip-flopping got kind of fixed by the end of the movie, but which I said was kind of, I was like, you shouldn't have to wait over an hour for the movie to fix the problems that you had in the beginning of part of the film. But I enjoyed the twists, because everything I was like, when they showed that Cranston and Catherine Keener are the spies, I'm like, how the fuck does their daughter not know that? How did she, like, what? And then I was like, oh, I was like, okay, that makes sense then. I was like, but it kept me entertained. It kept me on the edge of my seat. And I know you hated the very end point, but I thought it was funny with Henry Cavill showing up in the final part. But
it's like, you kind of left with like, wait, what the hell is? I'm sure it's just him trying to set up, hoping to have sequels or.
No. I'm not talking about the mid credit. I'm talking about like when she's at the interview thing and he pops up, right. He's a random person kind of thing.
Right, but I figure there's got to be some explanation for that. If we don't know what it is, but there's that, and then there's the end where they try to tie it in with Kingsman, which
even I was confused about.
I don't know how that makes sense, because Argylle, as we know it, is a fictional character, so Kingsman is fiction too in this world, and I'm not sure.
It'd be one thing if it was the younger version of her at the bar, because she's that. And then it's like, okay, but it's not. It's young Henry, so it's like I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
it didn't do enough to ruin anything for me. It was just like, I'm confused.
It just kind of made me roll my eyes, like, it's one of those people who's like trying too hard to build a world. It's like, can you just take it one at a time for now? Because the other thing I didn't like, I think he himself and then his fans created a monster with Matthew Vaughn with his needle drops. Because like, during that fight scene in the church in the first Kingsman, that was, so awesome. Mm-hmm. And it was so much fun. He's like, oh, okay, I'm going to just do that all the time now. And like in this movie, every time there was a fight scene, he had to drop in some song, and it always kind of felt kind of forced, and it never really, it wasn't as fun, because you just kind of sitting and rolling your eyes like, oh, here we go again with him throwing a song in. And especially in the one towards the end when they're got the colored smoke going, it's forming hearts, and they're doing a whole dance, and like, what am I watching right now?
I don't know. I thought it was funny once they did the whirly bird, and she picks him up and stuff. I thought that was funny, but it was. I feel like that the music thing. It's like, yes, he gets kind of pressured into that. No different than how James Gunn got pressured into it after the first Guardians movie, where I feel like he kept having to because let's put it this way: we all remember the songs in the first Volume 1 of Guardians. I remember even less in Volume 2. And I couldn't name a single song in Volume 3. But everyone's always talking about the soundtrack. And Vaughn's the same way. People have just kind of forced this on him. And he kind of has to do it. And if he doesn't do it, I guarantee you the studios are probably like, well, where's the music drop? And all this kind of stuff. And so the music didn't bother me that much in this. Like I said, the main problem for me is I had a busted movie theater that we saw it in. And so maybe it didn't annoy me as much because I was too busy being annoyed by a busted speaker. We had a speaker that was literally like right because we were in the last row, and there was one of the upper speakers. It was busted. So after every 5 to 10 minutes, it would do a like just whap bam, and it's just like I was like, oh my god, like this. Like I was like, we can't do anything because like my girl was like, well, can we complain? It's like, what are they gonna do? Like this is not something they can fix. Like they would either have to move us into another theater or take down the speaker. Like there's not, and they don't know which speaker it is. Probably it's not something in the threading. It's not something that they can fix right away. So it's just something we're just going to have to deal with. and no one else in the theater was complaining. So I was like, all right, whatever. Either A, they're too dumb to figure out that that's not part of the movie, or B, they didn't just know what the hell to do. So yeah, that didn't help matters, but it also, like I said, it didn't deter me away from the film. But I will say this, and my girlfriend was in agreement, they missed out on an amazing comedic moment, because we were like waiting for like, oh, they do this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. So for anyone who's seen the movie, obviously, like I said, spoiler warnings for this. You find out that Argylle is Bryce Dallas Howard, and you find out that John Cena's character, I'm blanking on his character name, which also straightest John Cena ever, by the way. Like, doesn't bring anything to the role. That's not the negative on him. Wyatt. They just never let John do anything in the movie. But you find out that Rockwell is Wyatt. And by the end, you get the they're in love with each other and kissing, all this kind of stuff. But you have that moment where they're in the boat with your girl, and they're sailing away, and the explosions are happening in the background. And both me and my girl were like, oh my god, if Rockwell and Cena kiss right now, I'm gonna die. Like, because we know who they are supposed to be, and we're like, oh god, please let them kiss.
I expected that, and I think other people in my theater were expecting it too.
We were waiting for that moment, at least a handhold, some kind of romantic eye look, like give it, and they did, and they played it straight the whole way. I was like, oh, that's such a missed opportunity, because that would have been amazing. That would have been potentially qualified for one of the funniest moments of the year for our awards, and they didn't do it. And it's like, for Vaughn to do everything that he did through this movie, and you're not going to pull the trigger on that one? Cavill and Cena kissing? Dude. Unless they were like, no, we're not going to do that. Then at least have them hold hands or butt grab or something. Do something. But I just felt like it was like the biggest missed opportunity.
I was totally expecting it. Yeah.
I think everyone was just like waiting, and it never happened. But I still had fun with it.
The only other things I'll say about the movie, and see, I see I'm focusing on the bad things. I mean, that's because, like I said, it was Sam Rockwell was the main good thing for me, and some of the scenes were entertaining. But I do have little nitpicks here and there. And the last two I have, one, the CGI in this, from the very first scene, when you watch like the motorcycle and the cars going down the street, I'm like, this is some shoddy CGI for 2024.
You gotta remember, Kingsman wasn't that great either. Kingsman looked really fake too.
Right, and throughout the movie, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. You just kind of look past it. And there's a lot of like super obvious green screen. It almost had like the Netflix Red Notice look, like when they're fighting on the tanker and stuff. I'm like, really, you couldn't do something better than this? Which I wish more movies just go back to shooting on location, not even on location. Have a boat by the ocean right there in LA and just film it there. It's like, why do they have to make everything in front of a green screen? It's annoying.
Little side piece, because this bugged me. I get it, it's a commercial, guys. The Arnold State Farm commercial. Did you notice that when he runs out of the burning building, it's all green screen, but yet they shoot him on set in front of a burning house for the part where he talks to the director? Just shoot the damn thing. That irked the hell out of me. But yes, very much, I agree with that.
And then actually, there's two more things. The whole shooting through a 2-inch hole in between in the heart. It's like, you don't know exactly what position he's going to be in at any moment. And it's like, you could have easily said,
supposed to be one of the greatest spies in the world. She has that pinpoint accuracy.
It could have easily been, shoot him in the shoulder just right, so he spins, and so it looks like he got hit in the heart, but just it didn't. They don't have. There's no reason she had to shoot him in the heart. I'll look fine. We'll look past that. And then the whole skating on the oil.
I thought that was so.
Which, first of all, putting blades on your feet is not going to make you skate through oil. It doesn't work like that. That's not how ice skating works. But then on top of that, she's like going through and skating everywhere, and she's sliding on her knees and everything. She stands up. There's no oil on her knees. There's no oil on her dress. There's no splatter anyway. Even when she was like literally sliding on her knees in it, there's nothing there. I'm like, can we try to have a little more attention to detail?
Even at that moment, once they knew all the bad guys dropped their guns, just stand up and shoot them in the head.
Right?
You're not going to hit the oil because you're just going to stand up and shoot them in the head.
Also, crude oil like that won't really ignite from just being shot with a bullet. Just saying. Anyway, like I said, it's far from, it's not like a worst movie of the year. It's not even gonna be on my disappointing list by the end of the year, I'm sure. I mean, it is now, just because there's less than 10 movies out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a movie that disappointed me somewhat, and I don't know how often I'll rewatch it, but it's worth seeing.
It's currently my number one film of the year. Obviously, it's definitely not going to be there. And if it is, oh wow, this year really became disappointing. But But yes, we had fun with it. Now you got to see Lisa Frankenstein. I did not see it, and that is strictly because of Brian's little mini review. So why don't you jump into Lisa Frankenstein real quick?
Yeah, Lisa Frankenstein. I managed to see. I got to actually see a little bit early screening from the AMC's Screen Unseen thing. Actually, Scream Unseen they called it this time. I like Catherine Newton. I like Diablo Cody, who wrote the scripts for things like Juno and Young Adult and stuff like that. And
I have nothing against Cole Sprouse either.
And Cole Sprouse, I don't know much of his work because I don't, he was doing kid shows when I wasn't a kid, and he was doing like teen stuff, and I'm not a teen, so I haven't really seen much of anything of his.
I mean, you saw Big Daddy and Friends.
I did, but I'm not going to judge him on, his child acting. But I really wanted to like this movie. It's like, because I like kind of the tone of it. I know it's going for kind of a dark comedy like Diablo Cody does, and she usually has great dialogue, and it's kind of having to have like a Heathers kind of dark comedy, and they're murdering people and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of comparisons to Heathers, but as far as the tone, I guess I could see that. But it just I watched it and I was just bored the whole time. It's like I didn't care about the relationship. The characters weren't interesting, and when they couldn't pick a tone. Cole Sprouse is just kind of groaning through the whole thing. He doesn't actually use any words, and so his acting, I mean, he does the best he can do with it. But Diablo Cody didn't really put her usual life into the dialogue and things like that, and it was a movie that just kind of felt empty to me. It was just, again, it wasn't terrible. Wasn't nothing actively bad about it. I was just mostly bored by it.
Yeah, I remember when we went to see Argylle, we saw a trailer for it, and I was telling my girl, I was like, hey, we might go see this next week. And like once the trailer ended, I was like, I don't know if I want to go see this next week.
Yeah, the trailer didn't blow me away because I was looking forward to it based on the cast and the premise, and
that's because the tone of the trailer was, because I was like, is this a comedy? Is this a serial killer movie? I don't know where we're supposed to go with this. Is this like My Boyfriend's Back from the early 90s? Like where it's like, I mean, granted he's a Frankenstein, not a zombie in that, but it's just like I was like, looks like it's just trying to be everything and everything.
It's trying to be Warm Bodies. It's trying to be
Heathers. And I don't understand what the movie is, but it's like by the end of that little trailer, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch it either. Yeah. And even she was like, I don't know if I want to watch that. I was like, all right. I was like, well, I guess I'll go see it by myself. And then you told me how it was. I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to go see it.
And like I said, the dialogue and script didn't impress me. So maybe Diablo Cody just had a miss this time around. But I have to think with the cast and stuff, it's got to fall mostly on Zelda Williams, which is her first film, though. So you don't want to judge her too harshly on one film that she's done. But at the same time, it's like, it wasn't good.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about movie wise before we
jump? No, the only other one I watched was the Amazon Prime original called Upgraded. It's basically Devil Wears Prada crossed with While You Were Sleeping, because she basically tells this lie and has to like keep this lie going or else she'll get found out, and it kind of snowballs and she's kind of stuck in it and she doesn't want to reveal it because everyone will hate her then. But it's very much Devil Wears Prada. Marissa Tomei is kind of in the overbearing boss, like the Glenn Close, Meryl Streep role. And I actually enjoyed it. I mean, I hate the fashion world, which I think it's just pretentious and stupid. So I wasn't a fan of Devil Wears Prada because of that, but I still enjoyed the romantic comedy version of it. This one's more about the art world, which I also don't really care about because I think a lot of art's just pretentious and stuff. But despite that, I enjoyed it. But then again, I like a lot of rom-coms, and of course it's got Marissa Tomei, and even if she's not like the romance role in it, she was still fun to
watch. Now moving on to movie news, there's really only one real big story that's happened since we've last been on, and that was
which has already disappeared now before we got
yeah, exactly. It had a 3-day cycle of this, if that, maybe 2 days. But they announced that they were gonna reboot Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. They said Jurassic World, not Jurassic Park. You can't reboot Jurassic Park. But they were gonna reboot Jurassic World, and which I was like, okay. And David Leitch, director of Bullet Train,
Atomic Blonde, Deadpool.
Yeah. 2. Yeah, I mean, he was gonna take over as director, and it was like a yay, ooh, at the same time, because I was like, yay, because David Leitch Jurassic Park sounds interesting as shit. That sounds fun as hell. And I immediately got real excited. And then they go, and it'll be out by July of 2025. Ooh, no. It's like
you know, one setting comedy films can't get pre-production and filmed and post-production and be out in 1 year. Well, what was it, 15, 16 months?
And I was talking to somebody who doesn't understand how long it takes movies to be made. Because I told them about it, and they're like, that it's a year and a half from now. What's wrong with that? I go, they don't have a cast. They just got the director. They probably don't have a script. I was like, they haven't shot obviously anything. Then you got to go through.
Hasn't any pre-production going for design of stages and creatures and
post-production. Whether or not they're actually going to use the practical effects for the dinosaurs or CG dinosaurs. Then they got to go into post-production and fix whatever they got to shoot. Then there's also reshoots.
And do all the special effects.
Yeah,
which is 90% of these movies.
You can't do that in 18 months. That's just not possible. And unless they're just gonna shuffle something out super fast, even without David Leitch, just if they said, "Hey, we're gonna shoot in April," okay, that's even less time. And I think that's why, in the span of 2 days, David Leitch backed out. Because I think the story he wanted to tell, or the movie he wanted to direct, was not going to be done in that amount of time. Because even you and I were both talking, we're like this movie can't come out earlier than 2026. I prefer 2027 personally, just to give it some breathing room away from the trilogy. But to tell that a guy like David Leitch, who's phenomenal at action directing, hey, we're going to give you dinosaurs and a new cast and all this stuff, but you got to shoot this probably in less than 3 months. By the time they get everyone casted and contracted and a script and everything, with all the stuff that's going to go into a Jurassic World movie, he's got to have 3 months tops, maybe shoot this film before they got to go into post-production of everything. It's just not going to be done. And if it is, it's not going to be good. Don't you guys want Jurassic World to be good? Why are we rushing this?
Yeah, this is one they announced him directing it. I'm like, that's great. And at first I didn't even notice the whole thing about the release date. And then when I saw it, I'm like, okay, that must be a misprint. Or maybe it's like it was supposed to come out here, but now that he's attached, they're gonna have it ready when it's, but they're still saying that's the date. And now they don't have a director attached
everywhere. July.
It's not gonna come out next year.
No, not a fucking chance in hell.
It's not. And like you said, if they did try to push it out, it would be bad. And I don't think they want to do that because it's one of their golden gooses where they can get tons of money out.
If they push it out, it'll be Jurassic Park 3 all over again.
Yeah.
It'll be under 90 minutes. It's going to have a bare bones story, or just an utterly stupid story like Jurassic Park 3 has. And it's just going to be a makeshift cast of people. Granted, the cast was not the problem with Jurassic Park 3. You had William H. Macy, Tay Leone. You had, Sam Neill back. The cast was not the problem with Jurassic Park 3. It was the script and the rushness of it. And you just felt that it didn't have the heart and the passion in it that the previous two films did.
As much as I would love to
exactly what will happen.
As I would love to see a David Leitch Jurassic World movie, because he would make phenomenal action sequences. I mean, this is one of the guys who also was behind John Wick. And I think that he would do a great job on it. But if he says they had different visions for it, and that's why they parted, I think that's part of it. But also I think he was like, I can't make your release date, and I'm not going to rush it and put out something half-assed, which good for him. But the good thing is he already has like a slate of like 3 or 4 other movies he wants to make that he's been working on. It's like, well, good, go make those, and don't let somebody rush you into something you don't really want to do.
And that's the thing that I've seen a lot of people say after this thing happened. It's like, well, who should direct Jurassic Park 4 or Jurassic World, whatever it's going to be called?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is, I don't want anyone to. Because if this is the parameters that you're going to make people do, is that they got to have this thing out by July of 2025, I don't want anyone to take that job, because they're behind the guillotine at that point. They are taking a losing assignment. They are not going to be able to make this thing work.
It's like when they tried to take. Now this is a little bit different, but as far as the pressure, the same way when they gave Joss Whedon Justice League and said, okay, here, we need to take this, we need to finish filming and reshape it and do everything and have it up at this release date. And he's like, I can't do it that date. I need more time. And they're like, nope, we're setting this date. That's all the time you have. Oh, and you also have no more money. So you just make it like it is. And we saw how that turned out. But this is one that's not filmed at all yet. So yeah, screw that. I don't think anyone. I think they're going to change the date. I think that they will, even if they found a director who's going to take it over instead, I think even that director is going to be like, you cannot make make a decent movie, not on a Jurassic World level.
Especially like it just came out of the blue. It wasn't like they've been, oh hey, we're gonna be making this. We're in talks to try to find a director. Hey, it's gonna be David Leitch, and here's the no. It was just all of a sudden just dropped. Like if it was April 1st, I'd be telling me, oh, this is an April Fool's joke, because it was just there was zero build. It was just drop it and boom go, and it's like what the and then like I said in a span of less than 3 days, it's already fallen apart. And it's like, well, yeah, because you guys, it's hard to take this franchise that I loved so much seriously if this is how you're going to try to take it on from there. It's a horrible mindset, and I hope they just either kind of like with Scream 7, either shelve it and not bring it up for a while, or come to their senses and say, yeah, we need more time, and maybe they'll get Leitch back, or maybe they'll find someone just as good as David Leitch and give them the proper time, because I don't see this thing coming out any sooner than August of 2026. And if it comes out any sooner than that, I'm not hopeful. I'm not.
I mean, I could see him making an earlier summer of 26, but I cannot see it coming out in 25 at all.
No, if it comes out in 25, it's not. It's going to have to completely change the facet of what this thing is going to be even remotely good. If it comes out in 2025 and it is just passable, I would be like, well, shit, kudos, guys, because you had no time to pull that off. But yeah, it was exciting for about a day, and then immediately went, oh crap. It's basically Scream 7 all over again. But at least that one we had a little more time to like think and enjoy with it. Anything else before we jump into the Super Bowl?
The only other thing, the news of Moana 2.
Yes, that was Disney had some expo thing.
I think it was an investor call of some kind. Yeah.
Yeah, and they just randomly dropped that Moana 2 is coming out this year, around Christmas time. And I know that we were getting a live action Moana. Mm-hmm. I did not know we were getting a Moana 2.
Well, it turns out this was a Moana. They announced this a long time ago, along with some other TV series. They announced Moana was going to be a Disney Plus series, an animated Disney Plus series. And then apparently they decided they liked what they saw, and they decided, okay, we're going to reshape this. We're going to take what we have, reshape it. Maybe we'll add some things to it, whatever. And we're going to turn it into a movie and release it theatrically. Now, there's two things about that. Is one, apparently Moana was like the number 1 or number 2 streamed movie in all of streaming for all of last year, even though it's like, a few years old. So I can see how they just see, dollar signs in their eyes. It's kind of like Frozen, Frozen feels like it's, not something that necessarily needed a sequel, but Disney sees money available, they're going to go for it. And the other thing is the same thing happened with Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 was originally meant to be straight to, video VHS at the time movie. And they saw what they were making, and they go, no, this is too good to just throw on TV, so let's make a movie out of it. So
they announced Toy Story 5 during that same investment.
So I have faith that this is going to be a good movie. They have not confirmed that the same voice actors will be back. Although I would think there are talks going on, because I can see if they did a series, they may or may not have brought back the same actor as far as Moana, and then
Dwayne.
I forget the name that Dwayne plays. I forget the name.
Oh,
Maui. Yeah.
Jesus, I had it and then I lost it.
But I think they're almost definitely going to bring them back. I know that Auli Carvalho had said she's not going to be in the live action version, even though The Rock is. But that's largely because she's aged up from the role, and then also because she says she wants to give other people of Pacific Island descent and things like that their chance to shine in the role, and I get that. But I could see her coming back and doing the voice for this, and I hope she does, because like if you saw when I talked about Mean Girls, the musical, a couple weeks ago, she was the best part of that. She has an amazing singing voice, and I hope to have her back. Lin-Manuel Miranda is not doing the songs for this. There's some other people doing the songs, but hopefully they'll still be good. And as far as the live action one, I've heard that one will end up moving, because right now it's supposed to open like 6-7 months after after this animated version, and they're not going to do that. So I'm pretty sure you'll see that one move back like a year or something like that.
Yeah, and Dwayne's going to do live action Maui, so he
is doing live action Maui.
He'll do the sequel. It's Rock.
I'm sure he will. My thing is, I don't know. Sometimes when they make well, now it's streaming services, you don't know, but when they used to make cartoons of like movies, like when they did Aladdin cartoon, Hercules cartoon, they did not use the same voices. They hired cheaper people, obviously, to do the cartoons. So they might have had other people doing the voices for this one, but I think now that it's a theatrical film, they're gonna, pay what they have to get the real deal.
I think if anything, Dwayne will be the 100% lock. If you don't have Dwayne back, then and you're not getting the woman who voiced Moana, then I don't think there's really a point of doing a sequel for this. But they announced other things too. But I mean, that stuff's not coming out this year. Moana 2 was the one that actually is being released this year, so we wanted to focus on that one. Now going to the Super Bowl ads. Yes, there was a Despicable Me 4 trailer. We don't give a shit about that movie, so we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and go down the slate of these. What was it, about 5 to 7 trailers?
Well, first, there were a few of them that kind of dropped short spots that were basically just saying, watch the trailer that's already been out. If did that, the John Krasinski, Imaginary Friends movie, the non-horror Imaginary Friends movie.
Yes.
It came out and it's basically a condensed version of the trailer we've already seen. So we saw that one. There was the same thing for Minion, and I mean, just Despicable Me dropped a link to, is a short thing about AI, which basically is linked to the trailer. It's already out now. Monkey Man did that. The trailer's been out for a couple weeks now, although we have not talked about that on the show yet, though. So
yeah, Monkey Man got about a good minute and a half trailer. Basically when the game went to overtime. This was one I didn't hear about, but obviously I think a lot of people are going to misconstrue this as the next Jordan Peele movie because Jordan Peele's name is plastered all over this when it's not. It's Dev Patel's. Is it his directorial debut?
Yes.
Yeah. It's basically I hate that we always have to use this now to describe these kind of movies, but it's basically Dev Patel's John Wick. Because John Wick has become its own type of film now.
It's basically to the modern action film what Die Hard was when it came out. Everything was Die Hard on a blank, Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a ship, Die Hard on a plane, and now it's like this taking John Wick. And I've seen those Old Henry, which was John Wick as a Western. If you haven't seen that, it's actually kind of fun. There's now there's this one is John Wick, and then everything wants to be like John Wick, but with a slight difference. And this happens to take place in like an Indian setting, obviously. Dev Patel, I've always liked as an actor. I never would have picked him as an action star.
No,
but the trailer is pretty darn convincing. I think it looks really good. I think it looks like it's going to have some fun, awesome, brutal action. Jordan Peele, even as a producer, I think that really adds to it, especially for first-time director. I'm sure Jordan Peele was a lot more hands-on than he'd be if it was, a director who was a kind of more established and more, they knew what they wanted. So, and this is another one I think it was made for, originally supposed to go on some streaming service. I don't remember which one. And they're like, and Jordan Peele and there's production companies like, no, this movie's awesome. This should, go to theaters. And so they bought up whatever rights to it now to theatrical film. And so I'm glad to see more stuff doing that.
And I'm inclined to agree with you on it. It's like the trailer, it didn't necessarily win me over because like I said, it looks like, okay, Dev Patel's John Wick, which doesn't mean anything, doesn't mean a negative thing or a bad thing at all. It's just, we've seen 18 versions of this now with all these other actors. But with Jordan Peele kind of being there as a producer, like you said, he probably had his hands in there a little bit more. And I'm intrigued, kind of like when Bob Odenkirk did, Mr. Nobody. It's like, well, okay, I kind of want to see where this is going to go. And I kind of want to see where Dev Patel is going to take this because he's not someone that I would look at as being this epic badass guy, but he looks awesome in that monkey mask because I'm sure it's probably just for one scene in the movie. I wish he would wear that the whole time, but Dev Patel's a pretty boy, and so you want his face on screen as much as you can. But that mask looked awesome. So we'll see how that one goes. It's gonna be. Is that gonna be the new Night Comes for us? Where it's like, hey guys, y'all need to see Monkey Man. That's gonna be great. But yeah, that popped up around over time. I think also Inside Out 2. They had a brief kind of teaser. It was no different than the one that we've seen already with the introduction of oh god, I'm blanking on the orange character. It's not envy or stress. It's kind of like anxiety. I think it's anxiety. Yeah, and that's gonna be voiced by freaking Uma's daughter.
Oh, Maya Hawke.
Yeah, Maya Hawke's gonna be playing anxiety, and it's supposed to also have at least 2 or 3, even 4 new characters for her.
Yeah, we haven't seen the other ones yet, though.
Teenage years, but they didn't show any of that. So it was the same teaser trailer we've already seen. I'm excited for that, obviously, because I really enjoyed Inside Out. Brian is indifferent because he's kind of.
I don't dislike Inside Out. I just don't love it like everyone else does. I'm like, I have not watched it in forever because I thought it was fine. But then again, Pixar movies largely have not impressed me in a while. But that's just because I'm a cold, heartless person, apparently.
Who loves musicals and rom-coms.
Yeah. Kung Fu Panda 4 did kind of the same thing. They had like a brief 30-second or 1 minute spot, but it was basically just referring you to the trailer that's already out that we've seen for a few weeks now, which my thing on that's still where it was when you did the anticipated show, in that I'm sure it will be enjoyable. Nothing's really exciting me about it, and I'm really disappointed by the seeming lack of the Furious Five, who we think are going to be in it barely, if at all.
And I'm kind of in the same boat that I said during anticipation show. Yeah, the Furious Five might not be in it, but they weren't really much in the last one either. We got Awkwafina in it, which we are no longer going to be bashing Awkwafina because we always bash her, but then we end up liking her and everything that we see her in. So she's in that. And then, of course, Viola Davis as the villain, I'm all for. And then Tai Lung coming back, whether he's got a big part or not, I'm just happy to see all the old villains back in this. But yeah, I mean, it's Kung Fu Panda. I fucking love Kung Fu Panda with like every fiber of my being. Jack Black was born to play Po, and I can't wait to see this fourth one because even though they had a TV show and stuff, I never watched the show. I didn't realize how much I missed Kung Fu Panda until I saw Kung Fu Panda back. So I'm excited to see that one come back for us. We also got a 1 minute kind of with some newer scenes for The Fall Guy, which is one of our more anticipated films of 2024. Granted, the game hadn't started yet, so I was still kind of running around trying to get stuff ready. So I didn't really get to catch a lot of it, but I would look at and like scan at the TV and like, that's a new scene. I don't know if I want to watch this because I think we already seen enough of this trailer. So I stopped watching it. Did you watch the whole thing?
I did, because it was just 1 minute and it was probably 80% stuff we'd already seen. This is one I didn't tune in until the 5 o'clock official pre-show started. And so I didn't see it there, but I saw, because I had gone through all this major studios this past week and made sure I had like subscribed to all their YouTube channels with notifications. So like, because sometimes the trailers dropped ahead of time. And so I saw this trailer or spot or whatever drop, and I watched it. I'm like, oh, I didn't see it on TV, but apparently it was right before I tuned in.
Yeah, it was between like 4:30, 4:45.
This was a spot that was, it still looked awesome. I think that it just kind of shows that they know who was tuning in to watch this, because they know that with Taylor Swift whole effect, they were getting a lot of like, women, especially younger women, watching it than would normally watch the Super Bowl. And so like they even go go to points, because the whole trailer is basically, this movie has everything. It has action, romance, sci-fi, monsters, whatever. And then it says Ryan motherfucking Gosling shirtless, and they show this sexy scene of him going on. It was like, okay. And like they know who they're playing to it in this particular ad. But the new footage they showed looks just as fun, if not more fun, than the first trailer we saw. I'm more psyched about this movie than I have been about it, up till this point. It's kind of jumping higher and higher up my most anticipated list. It is, again, it's David Leitch, who does awesome action. Ryan Gosling's a ton of fun. Emily Blunt we love. Aaron Taylor Johnson we love. And this is, if I had to predict now, this is gonna be my top 5 of the year by the end of the year.
It's like, and it was like, I think my number 2 or number 3 most anticipated film of the year, just from the initial trailer, because the trailer had made me so excited for what it was going to be. So I don't even want to watch any more of it, because I feel like we've already seen too much of this movie already. But yeah, I definitely can't wait to see that. We had a trailer drop a couple days ago, but it was the Super Bowl trailer, but it did get released early, and that was for A Quiet Place Day 1. No more John Krasinski or Emily Blunt in this. This is kind of taking the story off to a separate, separate group of people. I want to say in a different even location.
Oh, this is like in the city. This is like New York City or something. Yeah.
Yeah. New directors at the helm, stuff like that. This one's got Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn. It does have Jaimin Hansu, who was in the second one. So spoilers, we know he survives because he's in the second one. But yeah, this is kind of basically showing day 1, which we got to see a little bit in the second film, where they kind of got to see like the first 20 minutes what was going on with Krasinski and Blunt's characters and family. But this one's going to be strictly, at least to our knowledge, the whole movie is day 1. What were your thoughts on it? What you got to see of it?
I was really looking forward to this one, because like that first 20 minutes of Quiet Place Part 2, I thought was awesome. And I love the whole idea of day one, like before they know the rules, before they knew, that they're based on hearing and things like that, what would happen. And then to move this to a location such as like a big city, where there's, not only thousands and thousands and thousands of people, but there's, that much more noise. I'm like, what's this thing going to be like? It's going to be kind of insane. Now, my one hesitation though comes to the fact that, is this just going to be more of like an action alien attack kind of movie? Because at least everything we've seen in this trailer is a whole lot more action than we've seen in the Quiet Place movies, where there has its moments, but a lot of it's more like suspense and, things like that. And this looks like it's going to have a different tone, which I don't think is a bad thing. I just don't want it to feel completely removed from the world we've learned about so far.
But granted, this is just like a 1.5 minute teaser. This hasn't even been the story trailer. Yeah, that's probably still another couple weeks out, if not a month out.
I did like getting a good look at Joseph Quinn, who's in this movie, who, I was one of the people that hated that he was one of the people that killed in Stranger Things, because he was one of the characters I liked on it.
As of right now, he is dead. We don't know. There's still
who knows
he can come back.
Of course, and when it comes back, if it ever comes back, because it's apparently not coming back even this year.
Well, they're shooting it right now.
I know, so everybody's going to be 40 years old in this movie, so it doesn't matter. I see him. Lupita Nyong'o, I think, looks a little sickly in this movie. Maybe that plays into it. I don't know, but it just, I mean, I don't know. She just looks a little skinnier and gaunt and kind of weakly. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we don't know anything about her character. That could be all part of it. Because she does look like she might be like she wearing the beanie and stuff like that. Like maybe she's someone who is sick, and is maybe on like maybe she's a cancer victim and she's on wow, blanking on it. Chemo, thank you. I was like, why am I blanking? But yeah, I mean, she did look a little, but Lupita Nyong'o's never been like a thick woman or anything like that. She's always been, skinny. But yeah, she did look a little more like, sickly skinny in this. Like I said, that could be playing into her character. Joseph Quinn looks like a business guy. He's wearing a suit through this, but he also looks like he is not able to keep himself quiet. He looks like a screamer in this. So like the whole time I was watching the show, I was like, Lupita seems to be able to keep quiet. He looks like a someone who's going to get her killed.
Yeah, so, but no, I mean, everything I saw looked good. I think the look of it was awesome. I love seeing Djimon Hounsou back. I clearly he has a backstory we don't know about, and so I'm glad to see him in it. But I'm excited to see this one.
Yeah. Trying to think.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So obviously one of my more
spot. It's not. I mean, we've already seen one trailer for this one. Obviously,
this one was actually more of a straight up story trailer too.
Yeah, this one did give us some new stuff though too. Go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't gonna be Matthew Reeves, no Andy Serkis this time around, no even Tony Kebbell. I don't think he's even coming back for this. This is pretty much almost a whole new group. It's got obviously the same people who did the special effects and everything because the movie still looks great. It looks fantastic. Like I said, we thought initially when we first saw the trailer that this was gonna be we thought it was gonna be Blue Eyes. But this is actually like centuries ahead since where Caesar is. So these are all new characters, people that we've never seen before, new apes, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I kept fighting through this because I kept wanting to like go and look up the cast, but I was like, no, don't, because you're gonna find something that you're not gonna want to see, and you're just gonna be mad. So I can't say what any of the characters' names are because I don't want to look them up. Because I was like, who's these voice actors? Who's gonna do that? But I was like, nope, don't do it. So I really don't have much to go on with it. All I can say is that the heart of Planet of the Apes looks to be there. Whether or not they're going to excel at that, like we got in those first three films, it's tough to say yet. Because at least with the first three movies, the human cast integrating with the apes is really how that story really grew. Where this is going to be like 90% apes and like 10%, humans. The only actor I recognized in the movie was the young woman. She plays Ciri in the Witcher series on Netflix. She was the only person I recognized in it. But yeah, all I can say is I'm hopeful for this. I'm excited because I love that trilogy so much. I'm hoping if it can at least capture the energy of the first one, which was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I think is the weakest of the trilogy. But I say that it's one of the strongest trilogies that they've made in recent decades. But if it could at least match that first movie and then grow from there, like the original trilogy did, then I'll be happy. But I really, really loved how this movie looked. It basically watching it. I was just in awe seeing the apes again because everything looked great, if not better, because it's been a few years since the last one. But yeah, that's all I can really say without diving any further because I actively avoided looking at anything else.
Yeah, the trailer didn't really heighten my interest for the movie, which I'm kind of at a point where like I'm looking forward to it, but it's not like it wasn't in my like top 10 most anticipated movies of the year or anything like that. And I watched this trailer, I kind of had the same feeling. Like I think it's because we don't know a whole lot of the actual story of it. I mean, we can't give it a little bit more, but we're still just kind of seeing images, and then they kind of dragged out that chant back and forth, what a wonderful day kind of thing. And it's kind of like, okay, it's just nothing really grabbing me to make me like, oh, this is something I really got to see. But again, knowing that last trilogy, that all those films were phenomenal, even though I wasn't psyched when those films came out either. But every time I went and saw one, I'm like, that was a great film. I expect to have the same kind of reaction to this one. You do wish kind of had some of those same people back, whether it be, in the directors or with Toby Kebbell and some of these, great actors we know, and Andy Serkis, obviously. But, I have to feel like they were probably had some input. They probably had some hands in this.
I bet when the movie actually comes out, we will see that Serkis has a producer cred.
Yeah, because Serkis, if I'm not mistaken, he basically kind of headed up this whole mocap. I don't know if it's a whole like mocap studio or some kind of program where he's like basically teaching people how to do mocap, and people are learning from him, and he's having input in like kind of almost kind of studio consultant kind of level. And so I imagine a lot of the same people are still involved in this one. I expect the same kind of quality.
Yeah. If anything, just seeing the movie a little bit more fleshed out, whether we got the full story plot, which we did through this, but like I said, I haven't gone back and rewatched it since I saw it, when it aired. I'm excited. I'm not saying that I've reached a higher excitement for it because, like I said, I know who's not coming back, and so that gives me worry. But I want to trust that they have a plan. So my excitement level's still there, but it's not gonna go past a certain point because I know Reeves and Serkis and Kebbell and them are not going to be there. But like I said, I have enough faith in this franchise because they've built enough credibility with those three films for me to allow them to try something new and see what they do with it.
Yeah, now, and all these trailers, with the exception of like Kung Fu Panda, I think is March, but most of these trailers are just teasers because the movies are coming out in like summertime, most of them.
Yeah,
and so they're not going to give everything away in the first trailer.
Well, unless you're the next movie, because that one's not coming out till Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there's basically 3 movies then that are left. That these are brand new first trailers. Hadn't seen anything about them before. The one John just referred to is Wicked, which is just Wicked Part 1, actually. Coming out Thanksgiving, like November 27th, I believe it was, something like that. And this is one that was one of my top 3, I think, most anticipated movies of the year.
It was not on mine because I had no idea what the hell we were going into with this.
Well, because I love musicals, and this one is also directed by John M. Chu, who did In the Heights, which is a phenomenal film. So I have all faith in him to be able to do it. The musical, I've heard the music from it, and it's it's been hugely successful for decades at this point. So I have high hopes for this movie. The trailer looks beautiful. I think the production design, everything, they created a great world. I think that the actresses both look great for the roles, and a lot of people are mad they didn't get the original cast, but that's because the original cast is aged out of it. They can't do that anymore. I think everything looks good about it. My problem with this trailer is the same problem I have with every musical trailer for the past 10 years, is they try to hide the fact that it's a musical. I mean, you hear one of the songs playing, but it's just like in the background. But anybody who doesn't know any better is going to not even know this is a musical. They did that when they advertised Mean Girls. They did it when Into the Woods came out. They tried to hide the fact that it was a musical. It's like, all you're going to do is piss people off if they do go to this movie not knowing it's musical, and they find out it's just singing beginning to end, and they're going to get pissed. And a lot of people did when they went and saw Mean Girls. The kind of people that We're
Yeah,
not
but I
looking for a
feel like
musical aspect.
Wicked, there's enough knowledge of Wicked to know what it is.
Exactly, which is so why hide it? That's what I don't understand it.
Because
There's not
probably
a
just
single
because it's
shot.
a teaser. I feel like
There's
they're
not a single shot of anyone singing, of anyone dancing, like, things like that. So it's like, you've and again, this is just a teaser. It's a first glimpse, so we kind of just see what the world looks like. But stop trying to play your games and hide that it's a musical. And yes, this is a football audience, but any footballer who wasn't going to see Wicked the musical is also not going to go see Wicked, just the drama. It is what it is.
So for me, I'm one of those people that are always like, ew, musicals, whatever. But then I end up watching whatever ones, and I either really, really love them or they suck. So with Wicked, I love Cynthia Erivo. That's not my worry. I think Jeff Goldblum as Oz is perfect casting.
Perfect.
Because when I saw him, I was like, ooh, that's a good casting in the middle of that trailer. I also think the one little brief scene we saw of looked like Dorothy and Caroline like talking to Oz. He had like that giant head. I was like, that looks great. But this movie made me also think of Oz the Great and Powerful, which was not a good thought process because I hated that movie.
Yeah, that was not a good movie.
And I'm sorry, I don't think Ariana Grande is going to be that good of an actress. Yes, I know she's a Disney kid, but you know what? She hasn't done really any acting since Disney time. And I'm sorry, as much as we all liked the Disney shows when we were younger, they aren't good actors. Some of them grow into good acting, but they don't become great actors from the Disney shows. So constantly seeing Ariana Grande in the trailer, every time I saw her, I was like, oh, I don't know. She could surprise the shit out of me. And I hope to God she does. But you know what? Every time I saw her on camera, I was like, I don't know.
At the same time, though, like, I don't even think I've ever seen her act in anything, honestly, because I didn't watch her Disney, shows because I wasn't a kid when she was on Disney Channel or whatever.
All I know is that her voice is like 3 octaves higher than everybody else. And it's just like, oh my God, stop.
But at the same time, though, I think that if she's going to take a delve into a lead role in a movie, I think this is the perfect one for her because Glenda the Good Witch is kind of this just kind of bouncy, bubbly, happy person. And I kind of feel like it would fit her personality. I'm not going to judge her because, again, in the trailer, I think we see her actually utter about 2 lines of dialogue. So you can't really judge from that. But at the same time, with John M. Chu involved, and I know that he went forever to try and cast these people, and I trust him completely.
Yeah, I would love to be wrong. Love to be wrong. I just don't have that faith right now. Now, they could come out with the story trailer where they actually let her do stuff, and I might feel a little better, or I might just double down on it. And
I don't think we see a new trailer for this until the end of summer at this point.
Oh, there's no reason for them to drop anything anytime soon, especially with it not coming out for another 9 months. There's no
it'll
reason.
Be August, September before they see a new trailer.
Absolutely. But it looks good. Looks a little like Oz the Great and Powerful, which, like I said, it just, I don't know if I want that. But also, I also noticed that Dorothy wasn't wearing her ruby red slippers. She was wearing like diamond, like white slippers. So that was
because the story of Wizard of Oz, I believe, is public domain. The red slippers.
Oh, so when are we going to get Wizard of Oz Blood and Honey?
I'm sure there is some version of it. But the red slippers were creation of that 1939 movie. And so you would have to, get permission and pay whatever rights to use their ideas in that. But the story, the original book and the story of Wizard of Oz, they were actually silver slippers in the original.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So that's probably why they focused on them like they did in the little trailer to show that, hey, we're doing this. All right. Well, that explains that then. Going to our next one, which was probably to me the biggest surprise of the night because the main one we knew. We knew.
This is one I was hoping for, but I didn't know if it was going to be.
This one literally popped on screen, and I yelled out, "Twisters!"
And I did too, which is basically that was my way of saying, "Everybody, shut up."
Yeah, and because my girl, she was like, looking at me like, "Okay," and I was like, "Nah," because as soon as I saw Glenn Powell's face, I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't think this was real." Yeah, Twisters. What did you think?
As just its own trailer, I think it looks phenomenal. I think that the action looks great. I think that the special effects that done with the tornadoes and that looks great. I think the original Twister still holds up today if you watch it, as far as the special effects, and these look, leagues beyond that even. So I think that looks good. I love the cast of it, with Glenn Powell, with Anthony Ramos, some other people in there. The only thing I don't know about this movie is I can't figure out what it is, because they said it's not a sequel. It's not necessarily a reboot, but it's not a remake, they said, but because that's why they call it Twisters instead of Twister. But then it's like a whole lot of scenes in this movie really kind of parallel to the first one, the original Twister.
Like we see Dorothy back. And then like there was a line where it looks like Daisy Edgar
Jones, I believe his name.
Edgar Jones, with blonde hair now. That threw me for a loop there for about a good 10 seconds. I threw the line, or heard the line like, so you want to destroy tornadoes? And she's like, yeah, I just ran out of time or whatever. So I was like, all right, so they're not trying to learn about the tornadoes, they're trying to find ways to stop them, like as they're happening. Like I don't know that line. But the other thing I couldn't figure out too, which I think by the end of the trivia kind of figured it out, is Glenn Powell the Carrie Elways of this?
Because I thought Glenn Powell, it was because I kind of felt like they were acting like, oh, he's the extremes, he's the tornado wrangler, as they were calling him.
Well, yeah, because there's that one scene where his truck, he drills it into the ground so that way the tornado can like go through him, and he just stands it, like sits there.
I actually thought when I first watched it the first time through that they're trying to make Anthony Ramos out to be the Carrie Elways character, because he's kind of sitting back in his buttoned up, shirt, corporate, whatever. He's like, oh yeah, he's talking about that. He's the guy who they call the tornado wrangler or whatever. And I'm like, oh, is he supposed to be like the other team, the corporate wrangler?
What if he's the Philip Seymour Hoffman? You're the extreme.
Well, here's the thing: is I'm watching, and I'm thinking that he's going to be like the antagonist, I guess, not really a villain,
because he gives off that vibe in at least the first.
But then later in the trailer, you see like, and even in the stills they've released in the trailer, it's got like it's got Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones and him, like he's like with them. So. Yeah. And again, I think if I watch this trailer, if this was a remake, I would be excited. I'd love to see this movie because I love this cast. And I think with special effects come a long way, you can make a great remake. If it was a sequel, I'd be fine with that too. And really putting the S on the end of it kind of implies it's a sequel, intentionally or not. Because I mean, like Aliens, it feels like that same kind of thing. And you don't have to have the same cast. You don't have to have Helen Hunt show up in it, but it could somehow be like a follow-up, a sequel, people who carried on their work or something like that. But they even said that there's not really even any references to the other movie in that. So this isn't necessarily a sequel.
Dorothy, there's your reference.
Yeah, right. So it's like, so any version of this movie, whatever it is, I'm still really excited to watch it. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's just, it was a bunch of cool shots, cool visuals. The only part of the trailer that made me cringe was the guy going, "We have twins," because it made me think twins. Twins. Like that was just like, so is that why I need to be in the movie? Because the delivery just like that made me go
from the first movie when they had the two of them. And
who knows? But I mean, Glenn Powell looks like he's gonna have a blast with this. He looks like he's gonna have fun.
We both love seeing him get more lead roles, and it's going to be in this one. It's going to be a good summer blockbuster. I think he has every bit of his usual charisma showing off in this. It's going to be great.
Yeah, him and then Hitman. I think Hitman comes out before Twister as well, I believe. But like both of those look like just movies that we're going to finally get some showcasing of Glenn Powell, get his name out there. Hopefully, they're both successes, so that way we can see even more of him. But yeah, Twisters was definitely a shock, and happy shock. I didn't watch it going, ooh, except for the twins part. But I was like, okay, I want to watch this again. Like I'm excited for this.
I can't wait for this movie.
Oh yeah. Now for our main event, it's the trailer that we've been waiting for. It's the trailer that we knew that we were 100% getting at the Super Bowl. Many thoughts about this, and of course that is not Deadpool 3 because that's not the title anymore. It's Deadpool and Wolverine. Which I don't know if I like that title, but nonetheless, though, Deadpool. Your thoughts?
I think it looks. I think as a first look, it is good. I think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to keep that sense of humor, obviously, including the fourth wall breaking, all that kind of thing, and obviously
Not
the
to
dirty humor.
mention a dirty joke on the first freaking line of this movie.
Now I don't know if this qualifies. This wasn't it's not a red band trailer necessarily, but
no, but I think there's enough people who probably don't know what that term means and have to look it up. And
so I kind of wish we had a full red band trailer. I kind of was expecting to find 2 versions of this leak, and maybe one will get posted tomorrow or something. Who knows? But it seems like it's gonna. They didn't try to rein in anything. They're going full on just the Deadpool we know and love. I'm not a big fan of the whole TVA being involved, because my whole thing with Deadpool is I was like, if this is gonna be a movie, kind of a meta commentary on the whole, Disney taking over Fox, because of the whole thing, you see the 20th Century Fox logo rubble in the background they're fighting at, and we've heard about different cameos, a couple confirmed, and a whole lot of speculation as far as people from the Fox universe will show up in this. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool if he's like basically doing this commentary on, because he's always been like in our world.
On the guy who says "I love this part"? Did you pick up who that was?
That was Aaron Stanford, aka Pyro.
Pyro from X-Men 2.
He's the only person we saw. People were expecting to see, we're going to see the cameos. Like, no, but we did see him, so that kind of implies there are more cameos that we don't know about, which I fully expect to see almost all of the Fox universe people in this movie. I mean, probably briefly, but I think they'll be in it. But the fact that they're trying to make it like another multiverse thing with the TVA actually involved, I'm just like, do we have to go this route? That's the only thing that makes me worry about it. Unless if it was just a tool to get him into this, that'd be one thing, but it looks like they play a major part in it.
They're the gateway to get him in to do all the multiverse stuff, which, I mean, you got to find a way to get Deadpool to be able to do multiversal stuff outside of, because all he can do right now is time travel because of Cable. This allows him to actually hit different timelines and go through everything. So he kind of needs, because outside of Doctor Strange, how else are you going to have him do that? Well, you got the TVA there. Now, it's not like Morbius showed up, so you don't have Morbius there to talk about jet skis and shit, which I would have been okay with Owen Wilson showing up. But I mean, it's like, it's a TVA, but I mean, it's not Loki. So it's separating itself to a point, at least to our knowledge right now. It's separated itself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, Ryan Reynolds looks like he's right back into his old self. I loved it. The Marvel Jesus line killed me. I thought that was great. The briefest moment that we got of Wolverine, we got that brief moment of him in the bar, but we got that last moment.
Well, and that one actually, I was going to put them on. There's a area of X-Men where this is actually explained Madripoor, which they went to in Falcon Winter Soldier. It's also referenced by name in a couple other shows and things. But Wolverine Logan has this alternate personality or alternate identity as a character called Patch, which is this guy right here. That's him. So yeah, the white tuxedo.
Wolverine, James Bond for the most part.
Got the white tuxedo and everything, and you could tell that he's wearing that from the back of it. So clearly they're going to go on that. Now, we don't know if this is the same Wolverine that we see later, if he's going to different, universes to find different Wolverines. That's a possibility if we've already seen him in 2 different outfits in this. So we don't know what's going on with it. Of course, like I said, this is just a teaser, and just glimpses of it. But for a teaser, it's totally effective. Because this is one of those movies where I don't want to know too much about it.
I don't know. I don't even want to see another scene from this. I don't want to watch any more trailers. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see any commercial spots. I don't want to see anything because it's already going to show too much. I don't even want to see Logan anymore. What we got of him just from the back of his head. And we've seen stills of him walking around with Ryan Reynolds. That's enough for me. I don't want to see anymore because you're just going to ruin it for me. But from what we got, like I said, Ryan's looking like, typical Ryan. Like, I was a little worried when I saw the hair, and then you found out that it was a wig. I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, why would you grow your hair out like that? But I mean, we got to see everyone for the most part that looked like they.
Miranda Bakarin's back. I was thrilled to see that. Yep. I don't know how Shatterstar's alive again.
You gotta remember at the end, Deadpool could travel back in time. He probably saved them. He probably went back and saved them.
So maybe Brad Pitt's in this too. He's just invisible.
He's invisible, yeah. I mean, all of them could be there. But yeah, this movie just looks like it could be either a massive mess or one of the most fun movies of the year. Hopefully it's the latter. But getting Hugh Jackman back as Logan. Did you see what Hugh Jackman posted afterwards after the trailer dropped? He goes, "Here, I fixed the title. It's It's Wolverine and asshole. And I was like, I love that they are, and then because then Ryan dropped a picture.
Oh, this is going to be the greatest marketing campaign in history.
Because then Ryan dropped a picture, like the best friend heart necklace. One side is Deadpool and one side is Wolverine, and it's like
Letterboxd changed that to the default poster for this movie.
Yeah, like they're just dropping stuff already, and I am just ecstatic.
And it's going to be another 5 months of this.
Yeah, it's going to be so much more, and I can't wait. I can't wait for that. But yeah, it was just enough of what we needed to just feel good and excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
I know they never listen, and we say we don't want any more, don't show us anymore, because they're going to. But there's already so many people trying to post, spoilers and leaks and all this shit. I know you guys are probably going to want us to talk about that stuff when it drops, but Brian and I are pretty much, I think, in agreement that we don't want to see or read anything else about Deadpool and Wolverine until it comes out and we do a big-ass review for it. So if they drop a story title or story trailer, which I feel like this did a good enough job explaining the story without delving too far into it, we're not going to watch it. If I'm in a movie theater and a Deadpool Wolverine trailer comes on, I am going to go like this because I don't want to see it. I want to go into this in was it July, right?
Like late July 26th, I think it is.
Yeah. I want to go into this as blind as I can and enjoy this for what it is, which is Ryan Reynolds, one of my favorite actors, playing Deadpool, and my favorite superhero of all time, Wolverine, once again being played by Hugh Jackman. I don't need to see anything else. I'm going to be there. It's my most anticipated film of the year. This is probably the last we're going to talk about it because we don't want to talk about any further, unless it's just talking about how excited we are to see this movie. Anything else you want to add?
No, we covered it.
All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, we can follow us on all the social media as you see below. Coming up next, oh fuck, Madam Web comes out this week.
Madam Web.
Yeah. I'm gonna see it. I'm sure Brian's gonna see it.
I'm gonna see it.
We'll have a review. Whether we have a spoiler review or not, it depends on what we're going to see. I am not going in with high expectations. Brian isn't either. Maybe that will help us, or maybe it'll make us double down on the hatred for it. I don't know. But we got to see it. It's a Spider-Man movie, so naturally we're going to see it. I don't know why we keep putting ourselves through the Sony trouble, because not every one of them is going to be, Spider-Verse. It's probably going to be Venom or Morbius or Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, which is shit. But yeah, that comes out this week. Is there anything else besides Madam Web?
There's the Bob Marley movie, which I'm not sure if we're going to bother seeing that one or not.
I might catch it at some point.
There's a movie coming out supposedly Friday called Land of Bad. It's Russell Crowe and Liam Hemsworth, which actually, it looks like a decent movie, but it also looks like a movie I would expect it to go straight to VOD.
Is that the one where he's a detective losing his memory?
No, he's like it's a military. It's like a war kind of movie.
Okay, there's another one that Russell Crowe has coming out where he's like a detective losing his memory and he's trying to solve one last case before it goes.
Yeah, no, this is I imagine it's gonna get a limited release, so I don't even know what's gonna play around me. But other than that, that's all for releases this week. Actually, there's not much for the next couple weeks. Basically, Dune's the next major one on March 1st, I believe it is.
It's like the 1st or the 3rd or something like that, which I'm excited for. I know Brad is, or I know Brian isn't.
I'm gonna see it. I'm just excited about it. But
I think it's Sleeping Dogs. I think that's the movie I'm thinking about. Yeah, Sleeping Dogs, because it's got Karen. That's that one with Karen Gillan, and you're like, oh, she's in that. I was like, I don't know. They don't seem to be advertising her.
It's like Liam Hemsworth is like, I think it's got almost like a caught behind enemy lines kind of thing. And then I think Russell Crowe is the guy who's kind of back in the command center or whatever, trying to help him out.
Gotcha. But anyway, we will definitely be back later in the week for a Madam Web review. Like I said, whether it's just me or Brian and I together, we'll know. We are contemplating.
Might just be a big facepalm emoji for 20 minutes.
Very well could be. We're contemplating this. We have not locked it in that we're going to do this, but we're thinking of bringing back a very, very special episode of Cinemasochism. We bashed it even without singing it during our award show. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We might watch this and do a special episode of Cinemasochism because we know the sequel's coming out later this year. It literally is just going to depend on what we think of the movie when we see it. If we think it's worth talking about, we'll shoot a special episode of Cinemasochism. If we don't think it's worth talking about, then we're not going to do it. We're just going to tell you, hey, we watched it. It fucking sucked, and we don't want to talk about it.
It could be, bad, but fun to make fun of and see how bad it is kind of thing. Or it could just be the really boring bad, which is kind of aren't even worth talking about.
Which honestly, I think it's probably going to be that one. But we'll find. We might check it out because neither one of us saw it. But we've heard so much about it. They're like, we might as well try to check it out together. But if we do, we will definitely have one of that. So that'll pop up on the channel. But until next time, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Waskrug. That is Brian Michaels. And until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.